Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in a Pro v Pro. That's right, Colton W looking to take down Diegob, the current king of the hill right now in CWA. Now, Diegob, just to give you a quick refresher, he beat Surgical Goblin in Backstabx, so he is currently the two-time champion of CWA Pro v Pro Series. I don't know if this is the deck he's going to be playing, but either way, Colton came up to me and he said, you know what, Ash? I want to try to take down the champ. I want to face Diegob, so here we are, guys. Just in case this is your first Pro v Pro, remember, there are no special rules. It's just straight up best of 5, play any deck you want. These guys can play the same deck if they want to, but some of these guys, at least in the past, they have some pride and they want to try to switch up things every single match. So it looks like right off the bat here, Diegob starts with a minion ice golem, Colton starts out with a bowler. So both players kind of feeling the other player out. Now Diegob comes in on that right tower for Colton with that miner. It looks like, oh, and there's a miner there for Colton. It looks like both of the players here might be playing straight up miner control, kind of mirror decks in a way. Now Colton does have the Electro Wizard, Diegob has the Musketeer. So we'll have to see what the rest of the cards are. I don't think that either of them will be playing Graveyard in either of these decks. Maybe Colton, we'll have to see, but when you see that miner, you kind of think it's probably going to be straight up miner control type deck. So it's going to be a battle of the mirror decks here, and a nice Electro Wizard placement there by Colton. However, he's going to lose the Electro Wizard to the Musketeer, and you'll note that the placement on that Musketeer by Diegob causes the Electro Wizard to bypass targeting that crown tower, so he was able to avoid any damage there. And worth noting here, we are halfway through the first match, and neither player has played all their cards. As a matter of fact, 3 cards remain for both of the players. Now, if you look at both of the players' cards that we do know here, there's no direct damage spells at all. So I would guess both of these players holding on to at least one direct damage spell. I would assume maybe a rocket in both of these archetypes makes sense here. We'll have to wait till the end of this match. I'm sure we will end up seeing all the cards in both of these guys' decks. So again, kind of reloading here is Diegob. Now Colton was at full elixir there, so he just goes ahead and plays the defensive Inferno Tower. Now comes the miner in for Diegob. Now Diegob can kind of unload at this point, and there you go. You see his direct damage spell, which is the poison. So interesting here, Diegob choosing to play the poison in this deck, and that's actually going to do a decent amount of chip damage to that right tower for Colton. Now remember, both players playing a miner control archetype means that every damage counts. This is definitely 100% going to be a 1 tower to nothing victory for one of these players. Again, Diegob going to start laying on the poison. Every single offensive push now for Diegob. Now that he knows what Colton is playing, you're going to see Diegob drop that poison, try to time it correctly so he has enough elixir to do that nice push, and then leave a little bit something to defend. Send in the miner, send in the poison. There it is right there. Miner, poison, and you can see he's still at 5, 6, 7 elixir right now. So he's able to complete the cycle again and defend against Colton's push. Now Colton's a little bit different. He doesn't have that poison. He does have that miner, but he's sending it in far less frequently. And oh, look at that rocket there by Colton. Really nice rocket. Great value there, taking down the Musketeer, as well as doing 493 damage to that crown tower at the cost really of 2 elixir after the Musketeer trade. He'll take that every day, especially going against this deck in OT. So Colton is back in it here, but those poison continually to bleed away on that tower. There's another rocket for Colton, so at this point, it's going to be, can Colton cycle to that rocket fast enough, or is Diegob going to get enough damage onto that tower? It looks like Diegob just needs a poison, and there's the poison. Colton needs that rocket. Is it going to come? No, he defends instead, and I think this is going to be GG for Diegob here. There it is, the log, and that is going to be it. Diegob pulls off the narrow victory for game 1. Wow, that was an intense finish there. I thought Colton might be able to cycle back to that rocket in time to pull off the victory there. So the champ picks off game number 1. So it's 1-0 Diegob. Let's take a look at both of their decks here. That was really close. So what I'm going to do between matches here, we'll kind of analyze both of the decks that the pros used, and maybe you guys can copy them for yourselves. So this was the first 2 decks. You can see basically control versus control here. Diegob just doing a lot more damage with that miner Miner and that Poison combined throughout the entire duration of the match there. So it looks like they're already hopping into the next match. Let's go ahead and spectate and see what both of these players bring in to game 2. So again, Diegob up 1-0. Diegob, the returning 2-time champion, looking it to be the trifecta of champions, 3 in a row here, if he can pull this off. Now Colton, a very, very good player in his own right. He's a YouTuber, he's a streamer. He was a top 16 finalist in the Dueler of the Duels event. He actually lost on the pancake challenge, so kind of a lame challenge to lose in, so I don't know if you can consider that a real loss by Colton. Colton also came in 2nd place in the crown duel. He lost to Yao Yao at the finals. So here it is. You can see Colton playing the Graveyard Freeze deck. Both of these players playing Dart Goblin. Diegob has a lot of answers to Graveyard, and I wonder what Diegob's win condition is. It's probably Graveyard 2, I'm assuming here, unless he has Goblin Barrel. You probably already would have seen it, and it is indeed Graveyard on that left tower, and there's a freeze 2 by Diegob. So both of these players' win condition is indeed Graveyard Freeze. That was a pretty good Electro Wizard there. Colton had to stop that push, and arrows there playing by Colton. Now I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of arrows in these matches from both of these players, because arrows now is totally viable in the game again. I mean, with Dart Goblin, with Zap Bait going absolutely ham right now in the meta, you need arrows, and arrows actually can one-shot for an even trade on a Goblin Barrel, whereas Zap no longer kills the goblins in one shot. You're going to have to rely on your tower to finish the job there, taking damage in the meantime. So here we go, both players kind of resetting here. Both players have the furnace on their side of the arena, and look at this, we're creeping up already on just 1 minute left in this second match here, and I think it's going to be a question here of who goes on the offense first. Who's the next player to drop their Graveyard Freeze combo? Now Diegob more than happy to take that damage on his left tower because he knows it's going to be a game of 1-0 again here, ladies and gentlemen. So Diegob, okay, makes a smart move not to over defend against that Electro Wizard in the left lane. He knows that Colton at this point is probably going for the right lane, but with that damage by the Electro Wizard, it looks like now he can try to get maybe a good push going with that bowler, and there it is. The Graveyard drops there, and he tries to catch Diegob without any counters in hand, but he does have the minions and the Dart Goblin. That's the thing about Diegob's deck, right? He has arrows, he has Ice Golem, he has Electro Wizard, he has minions, he has Dart Goblin, he has Furnace. Basically, his deck is like a one counter after another to Graveyard. The only difference, now that I actually take a step back and look at it, between these two decks is the bowler for Colton versus the minions for Diegob, and that was a good defense there. Nice spacing, nice timing there by Colton, trying to avoid that free spell with the bowler. That's why you always have to play triangle defense, space out your troops enough when you know your opponent has that freeze spell, and here it is. Electro Wizard on defense, there's the freeze by Colton. This could be trouble. Oh, those nice arrows there by Diegob, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like bowler is going to finish the job for Colton there. So wow, we are tied up. Diegob, the champ, has lost his second match here, so we are 1-1 now. First match goes to Diegob, second match goes to Colton. So remember guys, it's the first to 3 wins, so it's best of 5. These guys can play any deck, so we'll tell them it's 1-1 as if they already didn't know, and then we'll kind of, oh, they say, Colton makes a good point here. We're really doing a good job predicting the meta here. They played almost the exact same decks as I just pointed out. The bowler in the Colton deck versus the minions in the Diegob deck, and you know, Colton making it happen towards the end there. Let me just go ahead and show you the decks. If you want to go ahead and copy them, I highly recommend both of these decks. It really depends. Do you want to go with that better control-y card being the bowler that Colton chose, or do you want to go with that hard anti-meta, anti-graveyard minion there, although it didn't really work out for him at the very end of that match? So now here we are into game 3. Do you think these guys are going to go with different decks? By the way, we're all tied up right here, so why don't you pause, play along, don't fast forward, pause, and tell me, do you think that Colton can dethrone Diegob? Do you think he can pull it off, or is your money still on Diego? Let me know in the comments right now, and then we'll kind of go back and take a look through and see who is right and who is wrong. So now we're going to move into match 3 here. You can see Colton starting out with Electro Wizard and the Bowler, and Diegob again very aggressive with that graveyard spell onto Colton's right tower. Colton counters with arrows there, and Diegob did a decent amount of damage there with those skeletons, even with the arrows and the Mega Minion to counter there. So now Diegob can just go ahead and distract that Bowler, playing the Ice Golem way off to the side, keeping that Bowler away from the line of travel of those Ice Spirits. Expert positioning there. Ice Spirits. Why do I always say that? Fire spirits coming out of the furnace, Ash. So he does, either way, it was great placement there by Diego, and you'll probably notice that on both of these players, when they place the Ice Golem, it's so important to play him to the side away from your other troops, especially against the Bowler. So now it's a big push coming here for Colton on the right lane, uses that lightning there, takes down the furnace, and the Giant is going to get one punch on that tower. Now, doesn't sound like much. I'm sure Colton would have preferred more, but remember, one punch from a Giant is a significant amount of damage, especially in tournament level standards. Well, actually, what am I saying? Especially on any standard. So here comes another graveyard here for Diego. The Bowler does a decent job. Remember, Bowler just an average counter to graveyard. You definitely need something else, but Colton has a decent amount of answers here with both the log and the arrows and the Electro Wizard to kind of combo with the Bowler if he needs to. So now we're moving already into the last minute here of game 3, using the Giant as a defensive distraction for that Electro Wizard is Colton. Now the Giant's going to get another big push coming here for Colton. Now he's sitting on the lightning spell. There it is, lightning taking out a lot of value there, doing damage to the tower, which is really most important, and getting rid of that distraction in the furnace rather, and also the Dark Goblin. The Electro Wiz does a pretty decent job at finishing off that Giant, and now again Colton looking to reload, and Diego, you can bet your bottom dollar, looking to do a nice graveyard push right about now. We know he has graveyard in his hand right now, so here it comes. He gets down his Ice Golem. He has the Furnace already in the lane. He's playing a little bit of defense here with the Electro Wizard, trying to clear out this Giant. There he goes. A nice aggressive Giant push here for Colton, and a nice Furnace placement, pulling that Giant over into the opposite lane there, just preventing Diego from doing a nice graveyard push at this point. And here we go into overtime, guys. That was a nice arrows there by Diego, stopping both the Bowler and the Electro Wizard from getting a hit on that tower. And there it is again, Colton playing the Giant at the bridge, stopping Diego from doing what he wants to do, which is getting his graveyard that he has in his hand onto that right tower for Colton. And here it comes, another lightning spell taking out Dark Goblin, Furnace. Oh, not Dark Goblin, just Furnace. What was there, an Ice Golem there? I kind of missed that, but either way, missing that Dark Goblin, and that could come back to haunt him a little bit here. Dark Goblin takes down the Electro Wizard. Dark Goblin actually locks onto the tower there for Diego, forcing Colton to use the log a little bit early, and his tower goes down. That was a very, very good final combo there for Diegob. And how much value did he get out of that Dark Goblin at the end there, playing defense, avoiding the lightning, making it down the lane there to the tower, locking onto the tower, doing about 200 to 300 HP. Oh, and let's not forget killing the Electro Wizard as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at both of these decks, and let me catch my breath. Whew, that was intense. Jeez. All right, so these are both of the decks that they used there. So it's 2-1 Diegob right there, and Colton playing an interesting Giant Lightning deck. It's been a while since we've seen that in the meta, but it almost worked out for him there. If he had gotten just one more defense against that graveyard, maybe he could have made a comeback there. So here we are into match number 4. Now, remember, if Diegob wins this match, he is the victor here. So Diegob right out the bat, starting with the Lava Hound, and here comes Colton in the opposite lane. This is going to be tricky to defend here for Diego because, you know, Diego already has played a 10 Elixir with the Lava Hound and the Mega Minion early on to defend against the Giant Mega Minion, and this might be tower down here for Diego. The Mega Minion locks on, is going to get 5 or 6 hits, gets that tower really low on HP. Oh, look at this! Oh, very, very nice tornado there by Colton. You can see Diego must have not been expecting that tornado because Diegob actually played his miner on the left side of that crown tower. Now, if you play your miner on the side of the crown tower closest to the king tower, a savvy defender can make you activate their king tower by tornadoing it over. You might want to go ahead and rewind if you want to try that at home, kids, because you have to make sure you get the placement of the center of the vortex of that tornado in the exact right spot, which is exactly what Colton just did there. So that's going to be a difficult deficit to come back from here for Diegob. He said good game, but of course Diegob, if he's known for anything, it's for never giving up. So maybe some mental games there. Certainly not the start he wanted, and a very nice lightning spell there by Colton. Again, doing a lot of damage to that right tower now that he has this giant in tow on that tower, and it might be right tower down here for Diegob. Diegob in a lot of trouble early here, flashes the sad face, and he loses his right tower. Unfortunately for Diegob, it looks like Colton just might tie things up here. Colton using another defensive tornado. I don't know why tornado is not used more often, guys. Tornado can pull goblin barrels, miners, and also hog riders to activate the king tower. I would recommend all of you guys give tornado a shot. If you play it for even, 1 or 2 grand challenges, or maybe a dozen matches or so, you're gonna pretty easily and quickly get the feel of how to use the card to really punish your opponents for placement that's anywhere near their king tower. And guess what, guys? This is shaping up to be one of the better Pro V Pros that we've ever had. Off the top of my head, I don't think any of our Pro V Pros has ever gone to 5 matches. And not to discount Diegob here, but with 20 seconds left, it's going to be very difficult to mount a comeback here, especially now with that lightning taking down his second tower. So Diegob B can put the finishing touches on that right tower, which he does right there with the log and fireball. Right tower down, but Colton just kind of concentrating on defending on that left tower, and then the time ticks off the clock here, and that's it, guys. We are 2-2, neck and neck. It all comes down to this next match. The big question being, what are these guys going to play? So let's see. Good game, guys. We are 2-2. And wow, this is intense. I am loving this Pro V Pro. This is one of my favorite ones yet, guys. This is intense. So we're 2v2, and it just comes down to what are these guys going to play on their next deck, or their last match here. These are the decks that they just used, by the way. Diegob B going with the Miner Lava Hound deck. Interesting choice there. He really just got caught off guard when Colton punished him really early in the match there, playing the Giant and the Mega Minion there at the bridge, knowing he only had 3 elixir left to defend. Alright guys, so we are back there. Actually, Colton had to use a little bathroom break, so we're ready, and we're gonna jump right into this, guys. This is the last match. This is for all the marbles here. If Diegob B loses, Colton will be the new pro to beat. That means that if you know anybody who you think, or you have any suggestions on who can take out Colton, the new champ, let me know. Or does Diegob B keep his title as the pro to beat 3 in a row, the first pro ever to win 3 in a row? I want to say that Surgical Goblin also won 2 in a row, but I could be wrong there. He could have the 3 record. If so, it will be a tie. I'll have to go back and look. But either way here, we are underway in this match, and right out the gate, Colton plays the Graveyard Freeze combo, and Diegob answers, showing that he has a bait deck with the Goblin Barrel. Now, I can bet you anything Diegob B is going to be playing the Mirror as well, because very difficult to defend against the Mirrored Goblin Barrel. Now, does a ton of damage too, especially throughout the match. If you just keep kind of throwing the Goblin Barrel and then sometimes mirroring it, you A, keep your opponent guessing, and B, you can bait out their spell, their counter on that first throw, and then your extra strong level 10 goblins and the second Goblin Barrel will go ham on that tower. So both players kind of reloading with Furnace. Furnace might be the most common card in these decks today. It seems like Furnace is really a staple now of the game. It's funny because we went for so long without seeing really any Furnaces, and now it's everywhere, especially with the Zap Bait, or the bait, I should say, meta, since Zap is kind of taking a little bit of a back seat. Definitely still widely used, but not in like 80-some% decks like it used to be. That was a really nice answer Goblin Barrel there from Diegob, doing a little bit more chip damage to Colton's tower than Colton did on his. So now Colton has to defend here, but at the same time, there's only a minute left in the match. He has to get something going. So there is the mirrored Goblin Barrel for Diegob, and check that out, guys. Gets a lot of damage, almost takes the tower down despite that furnace in the back for Colton. And there it is. Fireball will take that tower down, narrowly missing the Dart Goblin, but he did get that furnace down to just a sliver of health there. So here it comes, Colton with the very early arrows there, expecting that was a predictive spell, expecting the skeleton army, just missed it there. A nice delayed skeleton army to counter that graveyard for Diegob there. And now only 30 seconds left. All Diegob has to do is defend, but I can guarantee you he's going to go ahead and throw a couple Goblin Barrels at that right tower, just predicting that Colton might have one big graveyard push left in him. And here it is. This is going to be it for Colton. Needs to get something going. There's the freeze spell. Nice freeze drop there. And is he going to get it? 10, 9, 8, and the tower is down. We are tied. It's all going to come down to this, guys. And immediately throwing the Goblin Barrel is Diegob. The furnace still coming at him hard. This might be a good log play here, just delaying, and there it is, the log against taking out the Dart Goblin, doing a lot of damage to that Electro Wizard. And there it is, Colton coming at him strong with that graveyard, using the Ice Golem on the other side of the arena to try to distract those towers. You know, you have the King Tower and you have the Crown Tower, both shooting at your graveyard. It's much more difficult to use the graveyard effectively once there's already one tower down than it is without that King Tower shooting at your graveyard at the same time here. So it looks like slight advantage here for the returning champ Diegob. He's going to try to get something going, reloading with that furnace there. And now the furnace defensive placement in the back there by Colton, trying to protect from those Goblin Barrels that you know are going to be coming soon. So the bowler is going to be a good defensive option, doing some chip damage with that Dart Goblin, and you'll see players start to do that more and more now, using the Dart Goblin at the other side of the arena in that sweet spot just to get like 3 hits off on the tower. It's going to do about 400 damage, a decent amount of damage considering it's only a 3 elixir investment. It's a good play to make when you don't have any other obvious plays and you're sitting at close to full or full elixir. Again with that Dart Goblin, but this time Colton was ready with a Dart Goblin of his own, placed just a hair quicker than Diegob's, and that was a really nice defense there by Colton, distracting that bowler into the other direction like we talked about earlier. And here it is, Colton playing the graveyard again. This time it looks like he didn't have arrows up or he didn't use them, and this could be it for Colton. There it is, some more Dart Goblin chip damage, and Diegob wins again, and there it is. Wow, that was intense. They brought it all the way to 5 games, guys, and wow, hats off to Diegob. He remains the champion of the CWA Pro v Pro series. This is, guys, I want to say it's our 15th Pro v Pro episode. Wow, we are racking up the episodes for sure, but you know, I really like this new format where the winner stays on. So Diegob is looking to go 4 in a row on the next match. We got to find somebody to try to take him down. Now, huge shout out to Colton. Colton almost got the job done there. It really came down to it. That was pretty epic when he took out Diego's left tower there with only like 7 seconds left. But from then on out, it was just hard for Colton to get something going with that graveyard. So, wow, huge shout out to both of our pros. I'll include all their information in the description, guys. And were you right? Did you predict Diegob to win again, or did you choose Colton? Either way, huge shout out to you guys for your suggestions and for really making this series continue and continuing to watch and encourage pros to come on the channel. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.